Try to pronounce the last name,
That's
maybe?
okay.
And she will talk about exploring and debating architectural history and theories through an interactive online escape game, Archi 101.
Can everyone hear me? Is it okay?
Yes.
So, hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Iness Tkhayyare, you can pronounce it like that. And I'm an architecture student in the south of France, in the city of Toulouse. I specialize in digital issues related to architecture, and as a part of my master's thesis, I designed a serious game called Archi 101, which can be used by the general public to learn more about architecture. As I am not a computer scientist, I won't be going into the technical issues of the making, but more about all the theory and the making of it. So today I'm going to tell you how I believe serious games can be used to promote architectural culture and dialogue. So I will provide an overview of the Archi 101 game and of how interactive serious games can serve as a valuable tool for promoting architectural culture, fostering collaboration and debate, and facilitating interaction in a fun way among architects, teachers, and non-professionals. I also aim to illuminate how integrating serious games in architectural education can spark cross-disciplinary collaboration between architects and computer scientists. I'll talk about the 3 steps I took in the making of the game. So first, the current circumstances, mainly in France, that led me to explore this subject and find its relevance. Then I'll introduce the game and then explain how we can open up the game to other users through the example of open serious games. I also wanted to introduce you to the game's 3 main characters, so Iness, which is in fact myself, Le Corbusier, and Madame Savoy, which is a little scary. In France, a sociological study has shown that there is a gap in the access of architectural culture. In 2018, 84% of French people do not consider themselves competent when it comes to architecture, which is a really big number. 69% rarely or never visit architecture-related cultural institutions, and 57% have little or no interest in architecture. These figures are very worrying, given that architecture surrounds us every day, and interest in this field has been shown to be totally linked to socio-cultural status. What emerges from this study, then, is the apparent elitism of the profession and the public lack of interest in the field. So this is where the idea of popularizing formats to attract the interest of a wider public comes in. Television is the most effective means of disseminating information about architecture, according to another study, but it also comes in the forms of hands-on experience and video games, which sometimes inspire young people to take up architecture, like me, The Sims, for example. So, how can the general public benefit from serious games for architecture? 3 key dimensions come into play. First, the localization, where serious games break down geographical barriers, enabling access to architectural experiences beyond physical limitations. Secondly, accessibility is enhanced through digital platforms, especially among younger generations, making architectural knowledge more inclusive and engaging. And lastly, the immersive power of 3D virtual environments place individuals directly within architectural spaces, so it amplifies the impact compared to traditional communication tools. In Archi 101, we choose to focus on a particular building and architect, serving as the initial level of chapter of the game. It's the Villa Savoy, designed by Le Corbusier and Pierre Jeanneret in 1927. The Villa Savoy is an emblem of modern architecture and illustrates Le Corbusier's 5 points of modern architecture, which went on to influence modern architecture enormously, with its concrete, large opening and posts, and Le Corbusier was a revolutionary architect and influenced global urban planning and left a lasting mark on architecture. So it was fitting to choose him as the first architect represented in the game. So from the outset, I had clear pedagogical objectives to combine spatial learning to understand architectural space, temporal and historical learning to understand the history of places, and theoretical learning to understand their foundations. In my opinion, knowledge of these three dimensions across time and buildings for the general public enables the formation of informed critical reflection. So for me, opening up debate is the objective of all kinds of mediation. First, I had to represent in an accurate way the Villa Savoy. So the player, when engaging in the game, is also in a way visiting the villa, seeing how the light enters the building and navigates through space. And as the building is very famous, it was important to present it really accurately. The villa also has a huge history, so while playing, we can cross several eras, 6 distinct periods in the villa history, from construction to damage to war, renovations, and opening up to the public, which have partly forged the legend it is today. I had to present these periods accurately, and so I chose to represent them in different spaces of the villa. Each room corresponds to a historical date. In this way, the player visits every space through his visit. And to represent each of these rooms, a study of the archives was necessary, so that the historical period corresponded to the game. Many sources on the villa have been lost, so it was a major challenge for me, but I was able to find most of the archives I needed. The plot of the game is based on an escape game logic. So in this escape game, the player must find letters in each room associated with each period of the villa's history. Each of these letters is authentic and comes from the villa's archives. For example, about the damage to the villa or the period when it was occupied by the Germans and Americans during the Second World War. So exactly 6 letters are hidden in the rooms, and when the player finds them all, following the clues given by the object in the villa or the character speaking, he or she wins the game. Le Corbusier architectural theories are also included in the game, in the form of a book that opens up in each space and reveals the modern points of architecture and how they are represented in the villa, so the big openings and the solarium. These 5 points of theory are also clues to finding the letters. The player has a better chance of finding all the letters if he reads all of these theories, as they give like subtle clues as to where the letters are located. I don't think it's working. I'm not sure. I have like a brief trailer where I show how the game works, because pictures are good, but it's better to see it like in real time. So you can see how I modeled the villa and how you can interact with the objects, and how the game is designed in this way. So at the moment I'm progressing in 2 main directions. So first, in terms of publishing the game, I'm preparing to make it available very soon on my website, which is archi101.org. This site will serve as a central platform for architectural mediation and other architectural projects, as I'm an architect and not a game designer. And I'm also waiting validation from Fondation Le Corbusier, which protects Le Corbusier's work. It's taking some time because it's French administration, but once it's obtained, we'll be able to publish it and make it available for all. So in this study, we also aim to encourage not only interaction, but also collaboration and sharing following the principles of the open series game, which is a concept developed by Alexander Quash in France also. So open series games is an approach to serious gaming that promotes the free dissemination of knowledge, and to achieve this, the game will be freely accessible online without charge or restrictions, and it will be promoting inclusivity and knowledge sharing. So we will make the game development file available, allowing everyone to customize it and contribute to it, and creating a collective and intellectual property. In the future, I also plan to integrate a discussion forum on the site, enabling game reviews and theories, as well as the collection of statistical data to better understand the trends and opinions of the general public. So this part is still completely in the making. This RP11 version is the beginning of the game. I'd like to expand it into a series and create additional versions covering different architects and theories. So the open source game will be eventually integrated into this project by bringing these levels together on the RP11 online platform. And this platform will serve as a collaborative space for the ongoing development of levels. In this way, the game will evolve beyond its initial function as a simple educational tool to become an asset shared by all. So, for me, the true essence of architectural mediation and the transmission of architectural knowledge is to share knowledge in an open way, whether online, through games, or in real life, by encouraging exchanges. So I don't think this priority is sufficiently recognized in our field, and the lack of understanding between architects and the others can lead to major problems in architecture and accentuate social and cultural disagreements. Maybe serious games are opening the way, and I plan on continuing my studies following this path. And thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks for your talk. Do we have any questions? Anybody? Yes?
First of all, I think the game is amazing. Nice job. I have two questions. How long did it take to do like the full process of the game making?
I did it in 6 months.
You were one person. Did you have any?
Yeah, I was alone on this because it was like a master project.
Yeah.
So I did it in 6 models, and it was like the modeling was kind of easy for me, as it's my job to model stuff in 3D. But the whole coding process was kind of hard. I did it on Unreal Engine with blueprints, so it was easier for me.
Yeah. And did you have any stages of like measuring the success?
Sorry, I didn't.
Did you have like any section in your research that to measure the success of the game? Did you? Was that something?
I wanted to, but as I couldn't publish it online, it was very hard. But I plan on doing it even with time.
Yeah, maybe in the focus group.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
I just want to say compliments. It looks like it's a puzzle game. There was some mentioning about letters and you use a clue for next. You know, so it was really like very intriguing. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I don't see any questions. Then thanks again.